how can we improve communication in our marriage. Looking with Greg Cooney to talk about your new article. What are common ways that the communication signal gets fuzzy between couples?
There's so much noise in life, right? Kids and things. And one of the major things that gets in the way is just distraction, not carving out time, dropping subtle hints of what you want without directly saying it.
You suggest scheduling time to talk. Practically, what does that look like, and why does that help?
Well, it could look various ways, right? But just being intentional, whether that's like coffee on a Sunday afternoon or scheduling time to talk after the kids go to bed. So being intentional shows that you're prioritizing each other and that you want to create a safe place to talk.
What is active listening, and how is it different from what we just kind of normally do?
So often when we listen, we're really listening to respond or to refute or to rebut, rather than really listening to understand. I always describe it as practice. I tell couples, like, so often they want a book to read and they want all these things to do and all this homework. And I'm like, those things are helpful, like you're saying, but there's nothing more powerful than just intentional practice and experiential work.
In this episode of the Road to Happiness podcast, I'm going to be joined by NICC therapist Greg Cooney from MyCounselor.Online, and we're going to be unpacking his new article, How Can We Improve Communication in Our Marriage? So if you're dating or if you're married and you would like to improve your communication, which if you're dating or you're married, you should probably want to improve your communication, this is for you. We're going to be looking at how signals get fuzzy, and we're going to think about practical steps of how to cut through the static and the noise to be able to have clear communication with one another, and how to be a better listener in a way that helps you be able to really connect in a way that's meaningful in your relationship. So excited to share this with you. Stick around because we're going to learn some things that help you mature into true happiness. The Road to Happiness podcast is made possible by MyCounselor.Online. Hey, we all need some help every now and then. And the counselors at MyCounselor.Online are thrilled to come alongside you and help you navigate all the challenges in relationship or just life, the obstacles that life throws at you that get in the way. So check them out, MyCounselor.Online. They'd be honored to serve you. All right, I'm joined here today by one of the amazing counselors on the MyCounselor.Online team, looking with Greg Cooney to talk about your new article that's out on how can we improve communication in our marriage. Appreciate you carving out some time to write this article, right? To distill some of the wisdom from the thousands of hours that you spend with couples navigating communication questions and struggles and difficulties, and helping them be able to have good communication, and to help the readers, those who'd be searching out there watching this, to have some insight and how to grow as well. So thank you for doing that. I'm going to kick us off with the first question of what are common ways that the communication signal gets fuzzy between couples?
Yeah, there's so much noise in life, right? Kids and things and everything that we have going. So I think one of the major things that gets in the way is just distraction, is just not being intentional, not carving out time, dropping subtle hints of what you want without directly saying it. Those are some of the things that really kind of interrupt clear communication and create conflict.
Yeah, it can be so vulnerable, right? To have those clear, direct communication around the things that we're experiencing or have going on. Like it's not easy. It's not easy. You suggest scheduling time to talk. Practically, what does that look like, and why does that help?
Yeah. Well, it could look various ways, right? But I think just being intentional, whether that's like coffee on a Sunday afternoon or scheduling time to talk after the kids go to bed on Friday night or whatever it looks like. But just being really intentional and carving that time out does a couple things, right? It lets you both prepare for it. right? And know, not be caught off guard or surprised. Because a lot of times when we just bring something up, the other person might, like, alarm bells are going off. They might go into survival mode. I wasn't ready to talk about this, right? So being intentional shows that you're prioritizing each other and that you want to create a safe place to talk about whatever it is that needs to be talked about. Yeah.
Really does help set things up for success, right? Like, I mean, so many times the important things that we need to talk about that are in our heart, not our mind, end up getting brought up at the worst time, right? Like, we get it in a moment where we're irritated or we're upset and we're angry about this or that. And it's just like, blah. And here's where it comes out when our spouse is in the least prepared place to have a meaningful conversation about it, and it goes over like a lead balloon. It has about the effect that would have. But if we can, it makes sense if you schedule that time and we're both intentional about showing up and thoughtful about that. Things don't have to keep like compounding or piling up, or having that pressure where they just kind of out sideways. We're able to kind of have just a better conversation about it. It makes a lot of sense. It's not just about talking about talking through it, right? It's about listening too, because we can think about what we're going to plan time to talk and how am I going to bring this stuff up and talk about it. But there's this active listening. What is active listening? We've heard that phrase. People use it a lot in culture. It's out there. What is active listening? And how is it different from than what we just kind of normally do?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Josh. So often when we listen, we're really listening to respond or to refute or to rebut or to defend against what the other person is saying, rather than really listening to understand. So active listening involves.
We get in that debate mode.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then it becomes like a tennis match back and forth, right? And nobody's winning, right? So listening to understand is like seeking clarity, being curious about what the other person is really saying, not listening to fix the other person or to necessarily even agree with the other person, but just listening to create a safe place for them to feel what they feel and be able to communicate what they're feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so key, and it's not even complicated, right? But it feels so hard to do at times.
Yes.
I think one of the things that I know you spend a lot of time with folks around, and all of us do when we're doing marital work, is figuring out how to engage regulation, with ourselves, right? Because we get activated by a topic and we get dysregulated in ourselves, and our ability to listen goes away. Like when we're dysregulated, we just can't listen. And so that attuning to the self and having that self-awareness then creates opportunity for us to give ourselves what we need to be able to show up as our best self and actually have our ears on, listen, have a better conversation, better dialogue.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So good. Can you say a little bit more about curiosity versus assumptions? You talk about this idea of assumptions and how they can be difficult or problematic. And can you contrast that with curiosity, and why does that matter?
Yeah. Well, curiosity is so important because it's like letting the other person know that they're understood, right? Because when we feel misunderstood, we like I said earlier, alarm bells go off in our system and we tend to get defensive. So responding with curiosity is really like holding up a mirror, right? Like, what I hear you saying is, this really upset you. Can you tell me more about that? I want to understand, right? Why that upsets you. Asking questions rather than just responding with statements or with defensiveness or whatever it is. Just really seeking to understand and gain clarity, because clarity leads to connection, right? And when we don't make space for that, we fill in the gaps with assumptions, and then we start reacting to things that weren't really even said, because we're not slowing down and being curious about what the other person is is really
Mm.
feeling and trying to communicate.
There's something so disarming about curiosity, right? Like when
Mm-hmm.
we can lean in with genuine compassion and genuine curiosity, it
Yeah.
helps, the other person regulate, right? Like there's not this, going on, but instead there's a leaning in, and I want to get into your
Yeah.
shoes and I want to understand. And it
Mm-hmm.
really requires regulation to do that. I can't be curious. I can't be listening if I'm not in a regulated place. But when
Yeah.
I am grounded in myself, then I can show up with curiosity, which helps regulate my spouse or the person on the other side. And it helps lead the way for a better
Mm.
conversation. A lot
Yeah,
of power that we
absolutely.
each have, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fun. So how does counseling help in all this? Like people have never done marriage counseling, don't know much about it. They just kind of heard that relationship counseling and marriage counseling can be helpful. When it comes to these kinds of communication, what happens in the counseling process that helps a couple with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Josh, we get stuck in these communication patterns and these cycles, and it tends to be very repetitive. And what counseling does is it really invites somebody else into that space to help you kind of zoom out and see and understand what's happening, so you can slow it down and navigate conversations. So often we get caught in like talking about the content of the thing, whether it's how the dishwasher was loaded or whatever else, right? And we never like get underneath that to like the emotional level and what's actually driving those cycles. So inviting somebody else in that can mediate those conversations and help slow you down and help make those connections is a game changer. Yeah.
It changes the way we have conversation, doesn't it? In a
Yeah.
way that is really, really difficult to do on our own, like breaking out of the zone pattern. I'm just speaking for myself. I know Cassie and I have
Yeah.
benefited tremendously from the marriage counseling that we have done. And, it can be very annoying to me, in my own pride and as a counselor and be like, I should know this stuff. Why
Yeah.
is it that I, have to go see Dale and have him help us unpack this stuff? But it's really we're none of us are in a place where we're without the need for others to come alongside us.
Yeah.
Information
Yeah.
alone doesn't give us the ability to have those different kinds of experiences or conversations.
Hmm.
We have to have a new experience that gives us those
Yeah.
capacities, and the role a therapist can play being outside the situation, help us regulate, help us turn to each other in a new way. Like it gives us the tools and it gives us the experiences necessary to actually be able to do that
Yeah.
outside of the therapy session also.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what people don't get and they don't realize. Like, I could buy a marriage book. The marriage books are great. I read lots of marriage books. And we
Yeah.
write articles like this that are super helpful,
Yeah.
in giving
Yeah.
information. But that information
Yeah.
alone,
Yeah.
it's not gonna change the pattern, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can you say just a little bit more about how you help folks have like a new experience with each other?
Yeah, I always describe it as practice. I tell couples like when we come in, like so often they want a book to read and they want all these things to do and all of this homework, and I'm like those things are helpful, like you're saying, but there's nothing more powerful than just intentional practice and experiential work, right? And noticing what's happening in the present moment and helping someone gain clarity on that and feel safe enough to turn to their spouse, the person they love, and share that with them on a heart level, right? And when they practice doing that, when we model that in the counseling session, then they get to a place where they can start doing that on their own. That's the goal, right? Is to get
Yes.
them to a place where they can communicate in a new way without that third person mediating
Yes.
or helping them to create that experience. Yeah.
I think that's such a good point also that sometimes people think that a counselor is just going to like give them the answer. going to resolve the fight. Tell us which of us is right. They're going to be like the judge and bang a gavel and be like, okay, you're right and you're wrong, and you should listen and you should do what they want. And, and that's maybe how they imagine it, and that they'll just kind of bring all of their problems one by one, and the counselor will be the judge in it. And it's totally not that, right? Like, we're not the judge. We're not going to tell who's right, who's wrong in that. But it's every bit of what you said, and teaching them a new way of relating to each other, new way of communicating, so that they're going to grow out of their need for the counselor. Right? They're going to gain the skills that allow them to have different kinds of conversations that enable them every day, not just when they're in the therapy office, to have powerful conversations. Yeah. And that's what we love, right? We love our clients, but we also love graduating them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We love when they reach that place where they're like, I don't think we actually need to come see you anymore. I think we're actually a place where we're able to work through these things on our own, and it's working, and we're feeling the closeness and the connection, and it's graduation time.
That's something to celebrate.
It's so much fun. Hey, well, thanks for hanging out with me and just, again, taking the time to distill some of this wisdom into an article and to share together with the folks that would be reading the article, or maybe someone on this on YouTube, just a little bit of insight about, what happens in marriage therapy and how, folks can lean into improving in some meaningful ways their communication. So, thanks, Greg. And thanks for being a part of the MCO team. We love having you here and love reading the testimonies of couples that have just had their worlds change for the better through the work that they've done with you. So it's super cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Brings Cassie and I a lot of joy to be a part of your story and have these conversations with you just about life and faith and neuroscience. Like, it is such a joy to get to do this with you. It's more fun when we learn together. I got a small ask for you. Would you hit the subscribe button for this podcast? It really helps us, and it's a free way in which you can support what it is that we're doing and help others be able to connect with the same resources that you're enjoying. And if you find yourself in need of a little extra help, check out MyCounselor.Online. They're our sponsors. They make this podcast possible. The Christian counselors at MyCounselor.Online would be thrilled to come alongside you and serve you in your time of need. Hey, and Cassie and I want you to know that we're praying for you and that we're cheering you on as you mature into true happiness.